In this video, we're going to be testing out SteamOS on the all-new Lenovo Legion Go S. Well, more specifically, we're going to be testing out Bazzite OS, but we've got everything built in here that we do over on SteamOS, or the same operating system that the Steam Deck is running. And if you're familiar with the Legion Go S, you know that Lenovo will be releasing a SteamOS-powered version. It's actually a different color variant. The one we have here originally shipped with Windows. This is kind of my review unit. I've already posted a couple videos. We checked out some Windows performance. I'll leave a link for those in the description. But after installing Linux here, I think this is exactly how I want to use this device. Performance here is much better in Linux with 90% of the games that I've tested so far. And Bazzite OS is already running amazingly on this device. We've got full TDP control, RGB control. I mean, everything worked right out of the box. They've updated their website, so now the Lenovo Legion Go section does support the Go S. This device is officially releasing later on this month, and my full review video will be up in the next 2 days, so keep an eye out. But I've had a lot of people asking about Linux or SteamOS or Bazzite OS running on this device, so I figured I'd go ahead and make a quick video. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into some gameplay. Then I'm going to plug this into my game capture so we can get a better look at everything, see exactly what's going on with this device. Then we'll just go through and test a bunch of games on this thing. So first things first, when it comes to this handheld, we've got an 8-inch 1200p 120Hz display. So I did want to take the resolution up. And with this game right here, we're at 1200p medium settings with FSR frame gen on. That's just how it goes if you want to get over 60 with this game here on one of these handhelds, especially given that we've got the Z2 Go APU. If you're not familiar, we've got 4 cores, 8 threads, and the iGPU is actually based on RDNA 2. We've got 12 compute units with the new AMD Ryzen Z2 Go APU. There's a few different power profiles that we can use, or we could adjust as we like from within Bazzite, full TDP control. But like I mentioned at the beginning, with 90% of the games that I've tested so far, I'm getting better performance over here in Linux than I do in Windows. Moving in a bit closer with my game capture so we can get a better look at everything. Over on their website, they do have a Lenovo Legion Go section, and it's been updated with the Go S. Everything seems to be working here. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, built-in controllers. Again, we've got full TDP control. So we've got a custom mode with a TDP boost. And when this is totally maxed out, 30 watts with TDP boost on, does up to around 34 that I've seen. But we've also got the presets like a quiet mode, balanced performance. I'm going to go to balanced. Custom fan curve can be applied. RGB control is working here from Handheld Daemon. Legion controller can be swapped out on the fly. And while it was playing Street Fighter, it wasn't registering the Xbox controller. So all I had to do was come into this menu, go to Steam controller, and it worked. I could have got the Xbox controller working perfectly fine if I went to the game and controller support, but right on the fly, I was able to just swap over to the Steam controller, so I didn't have to worry about anything. Motion support. And from Handheld Daemon, if we press Y here, we've got some more settings that we can mess around with. So we've got TDP, RGB, controller, general, updates. But moving down in the performance mode here, processor settings, I can go to manual, EPP, low, balanced, high, and I've been leaving this at auto. CPU boost can be disabled, and we can set a custom GPU frequency. So we can set up a range, max limit, or we can go fixed with it. And this will do up to 2200 megahertz, just like the 680M. Checking out the quick menu, everything's working here also. I'm connected to my game capture. I'm only at 60 hertz right now, 1080p. This does support VRR with the built-in display on the Legion Go S. Half rate shading. We can enable system-wide FSR if we want to. And from here, yeah, we can actually set the TDP limit because of Handheld Daemon. Manual GPU clock isn't working from this section, but it's easy enough to get into Handheld Daemon at any given time. And I'll give you a look real quick. We'll head over to our settings. AMD Ryzen Z2 Go, up to 4.3 gigahertz, 4 cores, 8 threads. The Legion Go S has 32 gigabytes of RAM, but I've gone into the BIOS and dedicated 8 to VRAM, so it's not showing up in our RAM size here. And of course, we've got that 12CU RDNA 2 iGPU. With Bazzite or SteamOS here, this is performing way better than it did in Windows, and I think I might need to go back to Windows, reinstall the whole operating system, kind of slim it down a bit and just see what it's doing. Because with this setup here, I'm seeing around 30 to 40% better frame rates with some of these games here than I do in Windows. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into some testing here. I'll show you a few of these games, and for a couple of them, I'm just going to record the screen to make it easier on me, but I've also got some that I'll show off in real time. The first thing I wanted to do here was just kind of face it off against the Steam Deck with Cyberpunk 2077. I've got the Steam Deck OLED on the left-hand side, and obviously a lot of people want to know, is it faster than the Steam Deck? Because when it comes down to it, the Legion Go S is a 4-core, 8-thread Ryzen APU, given its Zen 3 Plus versus the Steam Deck OLED Zen 2 APU. The Legion Go S does clock up faster, up to 4.3 versus 3.5 on the Steam Deck OLED when it comes to the CPU, but they're both using RDNA 2 graphics. The Steam Deck's iGPU has 8 compute units and runs at a clock up to 1600 MHz. Over on the Legion Go S, we've got an RDNA 2 iGPU with 12 compute units, and it will clock up to 2200. What you're seeing right now is a side-by-side comparison with the Cyberpunk 2077 benchmark. Using the Steam Deck preset, I've unlocked the frame rate and we're at 800p. 15 watts on both of these units, and I didn't set a static TDP over on the Steam Deck because it'll automatically do it for us. With the Legion Go, if we just let it goes on up. So I've got that set at a static 15 watt TDP, and at the end of the benchmark here, the Steam Deck managed an average of 43.75, and over on the Legion Go S, we had an average of 47. And if you take a look down the list, you can see that the minimum and the maximum is a bit higher on the Legion Go S also. Again, 15 watt TDP, not a huge difference, and while you're playing the game, it's something you may never notice. But one of the main things to keep in mind here, at least when it comes to TDP, is the Steam Deck is already kind of maxed out there. That's all we're getting out of it. Of course, you can do a little bit of overclocking here and there with some BIOS mods, but with the Legion Go S, taking it up to a 25 watt TDP using those same settings, we're now seeing an average of 62 FPS instead of 47. So yeah, we're over that 60 mark there, and of course at a 25 watt TDP with this 55.5 watt hour battery, we're definitely not going to see the kind of battery life that we get out of the Steam Deck, but it's there if you need it. If you want to go a bit higher with it, if you've got external power, an external battery pack, we've got more that we can get out of this unit. The next one I wanted to show off was Spiderman 2, and I know a lot of people have been running into issues on PC with this game, but I've actually had a pretty decent time with it so far. I've had it crash on my main PC a couple times, so it's definitely not perfect, but right now we've got it running on the Legion Go S, 1200p, low settings, IGTI scaling instead of FSR, set to balanced, and we're using frame gen. With this variable refresh rate display, I'm not getting any kind of screen tearing, and I do have this set at a 25 watt TDP. We definitely need a little more for this game if we're trying to get over that 60 mark. We're seeing an average of around 65 FPS every once in a while. It does dip under that 60 mark, but that's where VRR comes into play. The crazy thing about this is, like I mentioned, I've done several videos with this thing, and each one of those videos I did show this game running. Over in Windows, we actually have to take it up to a 30 watt TDP, drop it down to 800p, IGTI set to performance with frame gen on to get a very similar frame rate. It may be just a tad more in Windows because we've dropped it way down to 800p versus 1200 here, but it's pretty impressive seeing how well it's running over here in Linux. Next one I wanted to test here was Street Fighter 6, really just to kind of test out this D-pad. I've done some testing in Windows with this same game. Right now we're at an 18 watt TDP, and that kind of seems to be the sweet spot for this game on most iGPUs. Medium settings, 1200p. This D-pad isn't bad at all. I don't like the feel of it. I mentioned that in my last video, but it does work really well. Next up, God of War Ragnarok, 1080p because I'm connected to my game capture. 1200 might drop a couple frames here and there. Low settings, FSR frame gen on at a 25 watt TDP. Now you might notice there are some texture issues going on. Every once in a while things are starting to disappear here and there. I'm sure this will be fixed down the road, but performance really isn't all that bad the way it is right now. I wanted to throw an old one at it, so we've got Half-Life 2, 15-watt TDP, and we're maxed out here. Very high settings, 1080p, connected to the game capture. We'd probably see the exact same thing here at 1200p, and I've locked it down to 120. This will go way up, but since we've only got a 120 Hz display, I just wanted to see if it runs steady there. And yeah, definitely can. I actually didn't doubt it would. Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, 900p, low settings, and we're at a 30-watt TDP. This one doesn't seem to perform as well as it does in Windows, and I knew we'd kind of run into the issue where a few of these games might perform better over there. But for the most part, except for this game here, it does seem that everything else is performing better in Linux right now. And the final game I wanted to test here was The Witcher 3. We're at 1080 Steam Deck preset 15-watt TDP. Pretty decent performance, got a couple dips under 60 here and there. If we went through and adjusted that dynamic resolution scale, I'm sure we could kind of lock it right there at 60, 15 watts. Or we could just drop this down to 800p and play it all day long with an average of around 81 at 815 watts. But with the Legion Go S, we've got a higher resolution display and we can throw a little more wattage at that APU. So instead of 15 watts, take it to performance mode, which is 25. We were seeing an average of around 61 at 15. Now we're seeing an average of around 75 FPS at a 25 watt TDP. So yeah, it's pretty awesome that Bazzite already supports the Lenovo Legion Go S, and keep in mind that Lenovo will be releasing a SteamOS version, officially licensed SteamOS installed on one of these later this year. Comes in a bluish purple variant, but I do like the white one here. You can pre-order this one right now from Best Buy's website, and it's going to be releasing later on this month. So if you're interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link in the description. But with Linux installed on this, I've personally been having a blast. Now, I love the screen here, 8-inch, 120 Hz. It's not OLED, but it's a really clean IPS. Overall, ergonomics are great with this. I love the button layout. I do like the design that Lenovo has come up with. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you're interested in seeing Windows running on the Lenovo Legion Go S, I'll leave links for those videos down below in the description. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. Like always, thanks for watching.